site where the old county courthouse and business buildings now stand. It was, in effect, a stockade where townspeople fled in time. Richard Waldron was born about 1616 and came to this country from England in 1635. Waldron, or Waldron as we now pronounce it, originally settled at Dover Neck, but he and others decided to establish a plantation around the falls known as Cochecho, spelled with two H's. The name is believed to be derived from the Indian word Cochecho, which according to one historian meant rapid foaming water. Cochecho originally referred to the falls only in what is now the city proper of Dover, but early settlers extended it to mean the whole stream and also gave the name to the settlement that sprang up around the falls. Soon after beginning this plantation, which we now know as Dover, Waldron returned to England to marry, but by 1640 he was resettled in his new home near the Cochecho River. His garrison was built on the site where the old county courthouse and business buildings now stand. It was, in effect, a stockade where townspeople fled in times of danger. As it turned out, when protection was most needed, Waldron's garrison proved to be very vulnerable. View of the original site of the Waldron garrison. This is First Street and the old county courthouse. The garrison was built on high ground. Not only did it serve as a vantage point in case of Indian attack, but Waldron was able to keep a sharp eye on his business interests, which were located along the river. Some of his saw and grist mills were situated near the first falls in the center of the settlement. Others were located farther upriver at the second and third falls. The mills, his lucrative trade with the Indians, and other business enterprises helped to make him a wealthy and influential man. But he was also a man of contradictions. Although devoted to and affectionate with his family, with others he was known to stoop to treachery as a means to an end. And it was rumored that he was not above petty dishonesty in his dealings with the Indians. Waldron's stables were located on what is now Dover's Upper Square. His land holdings were extensive, as is shown in the records of real estate transactions of the day. Looking across the river, shown here in the throes of 1977's urban renewal, Waldron could see the Tristram Coffin House, which was one of the few spared in the 1689 massacre. In addition to being an extremely successful businessman and a leader in the colony, Waldron was repeatedly elected selectman, treasurer, commissioner for the decision of small cases, associate judge of the county court, deputy to the general court at Boston in 1654, and most years after that until the establishment of the separate province in 1679. Waldron was 7 times Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Bay Colony. He was also a military man, a captain in 1653, and in 1675 he became Major and Commander of the Militia of Norfolk County, of which Dover was then a part. Richard Waldron contributed enormously to the development of this area. There is no doubt he has a place in history. Therefore, it is rather sad that probably he will be remembered best for the part he played in what have come to be considered infamous or disgraceful events: the whipping of the Quaker women, the sham battle, and the 1689 massacre at Cochecho, one of the bloodiest in our nation's history.
God!
Oh, God, what's happening? Smoke on the horizon, the garrison nearly gone. Is this what Little Bear meant? But it can't be the Indians. We're friends. Major Waldron. Oh, my God, help us! That horror on the floor. What fiends did it and why? Must go. Other garrisons and help, or be helped. What will I find? Would I still be alive if I hadn't gone to Portsmouth yesterday? Peter Baird, if he had never left Scotland. That was a long time ago. Summer of 1662. I remember my first meeting with the Major. We had disembarked at Piscataqua but a few hours before. My father had gone to apply for a promised employment at the Cochecho sawmills. My mother, after warning me to be careful, set out to purchase what food she could with the meager coins remaining in her pocket.
Now we've got to find some place to buy some food and... Oh, here's a place over there. Now I've got to go and buy some food, and I want you to stay here. Now, I'll just be a few minutes, but I want to be able to find you when I get back. So you stay.
Well, what do we have here?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Standing over me was a powerfully built man whose kind eyes soon made me feel at ease.
Well, you're a polite, but if awkward young man. What's your name, lad? I've never seen you before.
Peter. Peter Beard, sir. And we have just arrived.
Beard? Oh, your father must be one of the new men I hired at the sawmill.
Yes, sir. And you must be Mr. Waldron.
Right you are, lad. I'm Captain Waldron. And, you must be hungry. Well, come with me. We'll take care of that.
But my mother.
Oh, we'll find your mother. It's a small town. You gotta get some meat on those bones, young lad.
My father went to work at Waldron sawmills, and we began to settle into our new life. The people of Cochecho were seldom idle. Acquiring the necessities took most of our waking hours, but we did have time to make new friends. And the day I met Becky, we found that not all Cochecho men were free. We chanced upon Angus MacLeod imprisoned in the town stocks. 10 years before, Angus, fighting for his Scottish king, had been one of many who were captured by Cromwell and sent here as slaves.
Hello. What's your name? Peter Beard. What's yours? Becky. Where do you live? State Road. Oh.
Laddie, please, over here.
Yes, sir?
Could you be so kind as to scratch my nose? It's making me daft.
Of course, sir. But why are you here, sir?
No, I tried to escape.
What do you mean, escape?
Then you know, laddie, there are many of us here through no choice of our own. We were pressed into service, you might say.
Pressed into service?
Aye, lad. About 10 years ago it were, we fought for our king and lost. And that Cromwell, the fiend, sent us here as slaves.
I'm sorry, sir.
I know you are, lad. But thanks for the scratch.
One day, angry parishioners knocked at Parson Rayner's door.
Parson Rayner? Parson Rayner!
Yes,
Yes, what is that?
We've just come from the inn. There are those called Quakers down there, and they've been asking us many questions for which we have no answer. You must come with us and show them that ours is a true religion.
Not now, Smith, not now. Sir, if you don't come down with us, we'll be put on ground.
In this matter of religion, do you believe my husband or the Quakers?
We shall tell you after your husband comes down with us. Oh, that you'd be so stupid as to consort with those wolves.
Parson Rayner rushed to the dimly lighted inn for his confrontation with the Quakers.
Why are you here? This country's laws are against such as you are.
But what hast thou against us?
You deny magistrates, ministers, and the churches of Christ.
How sayest so?
And you also deny the three persons of the Holy Trinity.
Take notice, people. The man falsely accuses us. For godly magistrates and for ministers in Christ, we own. And for the church in Christ we own. And for the three that are recorded in heaven, which three are the Father, the Word, and the Spirit, we own. But for the three persons in the Trinity, that thou must prove.
I will prove three persons in the Holy Trinity.
Thou sayest so, but prove it in Scripture.
That I will do. By reference, he is described as in the image of his Father's person.
But that is falsely translated. In the Greek, it is not person, but substance.
It is person, and there is one person.
Thou sayest so, but prove thine other two if thou canst.
Oh, there are three somethings.
This is the hireling that flees and leaves the flock. Sir, how can you leave these people with those that you consider wolves?
After the incident at the inn, the Quakers went to Major Shapley's in the province of Maine, but did not remain long. Alice Ambrose, Mary Tompkins, and Anna Coleman decided to return to Dover. Parson Rayner used his powers of persuasion, caused them to be apprehended by virtue of the cart law, and the women found themselves facing the court, Richard Waldron presiding.
Alice Ambrose, Mary Tompkins, Anna Coleman approached the bench. You are aware of why you stand before this court today? As Quakers, you are considered to be heretics. And the law says...
So there was a law that Daniel should not pray to his God?
Yes, and Daniel suffered, and so shall you. Woman, what is your name?
She is written in the Lamb's Book of Life.
Nobody here knows this book, and for this you shall suffer. Dover, being a town in Norfolk County, Massachusetts Bay Colony, is subject to the laws passed down by the general courts. The penalty for following the Quaker persuasion is clear. To the Constable of Dover, Hampton, Salisbury, Newbury, Rowley, Ipswich, Wynnum, Lynn, Boston, Roxbury, Dedham, and until these vagabond Quakers are out of this jurisdiction, you and every one of you are required in the King's Majesty's name to take these vagabond Quakers, Anna Coleman, Mary Tompkins, Alice Ambrose, and make them fast to the cart's tail, and drawing the cart through your several towns, to whip them upon their naked backs. not exceeding 10 apiece on each of them in each town, and so to convey them from constable to constable till they are out of this jurisdiction, as you will answer it at your peril. And this shall be your warrant. For me, Richard Waldron, at Dover, December 22nd, 1662.
To a lad of my tender years, the sentence seemed unduly harsh. Captain Waldron tried to reassure me and said he did what he had to do. Dover at this time, a part of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, was subject to its laws, good or bad. Bay Colony Puritans were intolerant of any religion other than their own and had passed laws against the Quakers. The sentence for a first conviction was the severing of one ear. For a second conviction, the other ear was cut off. For a third conviction, the tongue was bored with a hot iron. But this did not deter the Quakers, and eventually the law was changed. The penalty? Quakers would be tied to a cart tail, whipped on their bare backs, and banished from the colony. If they returned, they would be hanged. And some were. And so the day arrived for the whipping of Quakers Alice Ambrose, Mary Tompkins, and Anna Coleman. The disgraceful affair was to take place on High Street, Dover Neck, where the townspeople would gather to jeer and taunt. Constables Thomas and John Roberts would carry out the sentence. But not every one would be amused. Thomas Roberts the elder, who came here with Edward Hilton in 1623, was to say of his constable sons, "Woe that ever I was the father of such wicked children." Despite the whipping, the Quaker women would later return to Dover. This time, while in prayer, they were again seized by the same constables. Alice Ambrose was dragged through knee-deep snow over stumps and old trees for nearly a mile on a bitter cold day. Mary Tompkins was pulled on her back down a steep hill to the water's edge, where the three women were forced into a boat. Alice Ambrose was thrown into the icy water, where she was made to swim beside the trawl. Later, as prisoners, they were turned out of doors at midnight in the frost and snow, and barely managed to survive, and all because they were Quakers.
Here they are, here they are, here they are. Heretic. Beat them up. Beat them up. Quiet that singing. That one. Yeah. Beat them up. No.
To the Constable of Dover, Hampton, Salisbury, Newbury, Rowley, Ipswich, Wenham, Lynn, Boston, Roxbury, and Dedham. And until these vagabond Quakers are out of this jurisdiction, you and every one of you are required in the King's Majesty's name to take these vagabond Quakers, Anna Coleman, Mary Tompkins, and Alice Ambrose, and make them fast to the cart's tail, and drawing the cart through your several towns to whip them upon their naked backs, not exceeding 10 stripes, a piece on each one of them in each town, and so to convey them from constable to constable until they are out of this jurisdiction, as you will answer it at your peril. And this be your warrant. Per me, Richard Waldron, Magistrate.
On with the whipping.
Beat him!
Beat him! Rip him!
Never.
Heretic!
I can't hear anything.
7, 8, 10. Next.
Enough.
Yeah. Whip 'em.
Clip them enough.
That's it. One to go. Yeah! 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 All right! Again! Yeah!
Onward, heretics!
Get them out of town! Get them out of town! On your way! Get them out!
Quiet them down! Quiet!
Oh, this will be a sorry day for you, Waldron.
So you agree with their beliefs?
You'll resent that. You'll resent that.
That remark will cost you 2 days in the stocks. Look back there. Get rid of him.
Take care of him.
Take care of him. Who do you think that should have that same to you?
You resent this. The wrath of God will come on you.
Right. Come on, get on.
Yeah.
The years passed quickly. Major Waldron had given me employment after my parents died of the fever. He was very kind to me. I lived at his garrison and very successfully served as his agent in trading with the Indians. Unlike the Major, I enjoyed their complete trust, and they were my friends. One day I was headed north with a knapsack of trinkets. I intended to trade for furs.
Ah, Peter, where are you headed? To trade for pelts, Pinnacle country. You better be careful here. There are renegades in the area.
I'll be careful. Despite the warning of renegades being in the area, I felt no fear. The woods were tranquil. The birds were singing. And the waterfalls of the Cochecho were music to my ears, until I lost my knapsack trying to cross a swift-running stream. But I decided to continue my journey without it. It was then that I chanced upon the injured Indian youth. I was quite sure that he was a pickpocket, and had been told that their temporary encampment was not far. I learned that the youth's name was Little Bear, son of a pickpocket chief. My kindness to him that day not only gave me a faithful friend, but was the reason my life was spared some years later. I remained in the village until Little Bear was out of danger, helping in any way I could. Then I wearily returned to my room at the garrison.
I was told you got back, and the rest of the story, too. You were expected in 2 days, and it's been over a week.
I'm sorry, sir, but it couldn't be helped.
Have you no sense, lad? You're lucky you still have your hair.
If I had left him in the forest, he would have died, sir. As it is now, he's doing fine. There never was any real danger. The Quackets were kind to me.
You've a great deal to learn, young man. While you were half killing yourself saving that savage, some of his cousins were murdering William Roberts and his son over at Oyster River. Then they slaughtered William Beard, stuck the poor old man's head on a pole for all to see. God.
In 1676, I was spectator to an event that laid the groundwork for later hostilities.
Very well. What in the name of... Want to Lancet, my friend. Come in, come in.
It has been many moons, Major.
Yes, it has been a long time. Well, sit down, sit down. You know Peter Baird, of course.
I do.
Tell me, want to Lancet, what brings you to Cochecho?
We gather soon, upriver, for powwow. First, I trade at post and see Major Waldron.
Tell me, want to Lancet, why are there so many braves outside? And they're not all Pennacook.
Major has eye of eagle. Some my braves, some braves from south. They come to Wanalancet for help. I tell them they are safe here.
Of course, of course.
Mohawk on warpath, killed many red men. I go, tell my braves again they safe here. I tell them I have word of Major Waldron.
Tell me, how's that fine son of yours? Did you bring him with you?
Yes, Major.
Well, we've much to talk about, Wanalancet. Why don't you come over and have supper with us tonight and bring John Hawkins with you?
You'll not call my son John Hawkins. His name Kankamagus.
Oh, very well. I'll expect you when the sun sets.
Sir? Sir? Sir, there must be over 400 Indians out there.
Yes, I know, lad.
There's very few of the militia on duty.
But any time now I expect Major Frost with a full contingent of men. Need to worry about it. Come in.
Captain William Hathorne of Salem with a message for you, sir.
Captain Joseph Sill out of Cambridge, sir. I also have a message for you, sir.
Come in. Well, Major Frost. Gentlemen, Major Frost from Kittery.
We met on the Mass Road, sir.
Your messages, gentlemen. Well, it looks like you're both here for the same reason, gentlemen. Tell me, Major Frost, just how many men do we have, all told?
About 200 men, Major.
Well, that's not enough. There's twice as many red men out there.
Our orders is to bring in only those Indians from the south who wanted for specific offenses. And some are within this garrison.
Now, just how do you propose to do that, Captain?
We have our orders, sir.
Well, don't think for a minute that they're going to just stand around and do nothing. And you say orders. Orders! Don't be stupid, Captain. In the first place, I'll wager that you can't tell if they're from the north or the south, or the east or the west, for that matter.
I'm sure we can recognize some of the offenders, Major.
I'm afraid the Major is correct, gentlemen. At the moment, we're a bit outnumbered. If you were to step out there and start making arrests, some of us might end up having our scalps lifted, and it really wouldn't matter what your orders said.
There's only one answer. We've got to outsmart them.
Sir, you gave your word to Wanalancet that he would not be harmed here.
Quiet, lad.
Sir, surely you're not going to break a trust.
Go about your business, young man, and never again interfere with the military. Do you understand?
No, I don't understand.
We'll handle this in our own way. And if you mention a word of this to anyone, well, you just might not live to see the next day. Now, do you understand that? Gentlemen?
Yes.
On several occasions, I've noticed that the natives observe our military movements with childlike delight.
True.
They've even wanted to join in. Now, if we offer to teach them some of our formations and drills, well, then at precisely the right moment, we can catch them off their guard and...
Some southern Indians were on the run from King Philip's war and were seeking refuge with the northern and eastern tribes. It was feared the newcomers would incite the northern and eastern tribes to hostilities. Major Waldron pressured Wanalancet and other Indian leaders to sign a treaty to maintain peace by not harboring Massachusetts Indians. Asking Indians not to offer sanctuary to other red men was an almost impossible agreement to keep. Captain Sill and Hawthorne arrived at Cochecho with 2 companies of men in search of southern Indians. Major Frost also arrived with his men from Kittery. Major Waldron devised a plan based on treachery to seize the Indians by easier means than warfare. Waldron proposed a sham battle, offering to let the red men show off their prowess. The Indians, believing that it was purely a sham battle, fired their guns first.
The whites then surrounded and disarmed them. Waldron released Wanalancet and some others whom he considered friendly. But over 200 red men were captured and marched off to Boston. Some were hanged. Many were sold into slavery, and the Indians never forgot.
Messendowitt visited Waldron at his garrison in June 1689.
No, that was a good meal. Messendowitt, it is good to see you again, and I've much to discuss with you.
Yes, Major, much.
I hear there's unrest among the tribes.
Brother Waldron, what would you do if strange Indians should come?
My friend, 100 men stand ready when I raise my fingers thus.
The Major's granddaughter, Sarah Garish, was the apple of his eye.
Oh, my little tomboy. I'll get you out of there. You're not wearing any shoes.
Shoes? I don't like shoes.
You should wear shoes. You step in the mud, you get a cold like that.
Major! Major Waldron! I hear rumors. The Indians are planning to attack! Is it true?
Oh, Sarah, will you get up?
That is nonsense, Mr. Smith. I'll tell you when the Indians will break loose. Now, go home and plant your pumpkins. Come on, child. Oh, foolish old man. Get some shoes on.
Thus, the Major dismissed the notion that there was any danger from the Indians.
But some of the other townspeople are not so sure. There are many Indians in Cochecho this night, and not a few have strange faces. 2 squaws appear at Hurd's, the Otises, and Coffins, and ask to spend the night. 2 squaws also appear at Waldron's garrison. Except at Coffin's, they are admitted and are even shown how to open the gates so that they may leave at dawn. That night, when all is thought secure, many Indian warriors creep into Cochecho. Raiding parties attack the Otis, Hurd, and Coffin garrisons. Richard Otis, his son and young daughter are massacred. His wife and infant girl are taken captive. The killers are not as successful at Hurd's. Mrs. Hurd and some of the family are downriver for the night. Because they feel less hostility for the Peter Coffin family, the Indians merely ransack and burn the Coffin house and mill. Back at Major Waldron's, his overnight guests have opened the doors to admit terror.
Oh, oh. You keep away. You're not going to get me. I'm not afraid. Get back. You rotten savages. Back. You'll never get me. What do you want? What do you... Leave me alone, you... What do you want? An old man?
The Indians creep up on more unsuspecting victims. Some of the houses are remote, and the victims have no warning. Squaws open the gates to a fifth garrison. There is not a single guard on duty this night in Cochecho. Chief Kankamagus, son of Wanalancet, his Pennycooks, the Pequawkets, and Messendowit have planned their strategy well.
My money's upstairs. Leave me alone, you. What do you want with me? You son of... No. Leave me alone, you savages. No. Get away.
Waldron. This crosses out the count.
While the Major was being tortured downstairs, his granddaughter, Sarah Garish, awoke to the sound of savage yelps.
had been down the Piscataqua on business for Major Waldron. Dawn was just beginning to break as I disembarked at Cochecho landing and headed for my room at the garrison. I was hungry, cold, and damp, and very anxious to get some sleep before I reported to the Major.
Peter? Bear. How are you? You not go to garrison. Why? You not go. What's wrong, little bear? Little bear?
Young Sarah Garish was taken captive and carried into Maine. She was sold from one Indian to another and endured numerous hardships. She was thrown into a river and left to drown, but managed to save herself. She was constantly tortured by abusive treatment and threats of death by shooting or roasting. Eventually, she was sold to a kind Frenchwoman who placed her in a convent. Later, she was exchanged for a priest and brought home. The massacre continues at Cochecho. The savages force their way into another home. Young and old are dazed, confused, terrified. Some, asleep just moments before, wonder if they have awakened in hell. They fight with great courage, but soon they must flee for their lives. Some are captured, some are killed.
I don't know how long I was unconscious. I was bewildered and stunned. At times, a blackness enveloped me and I could not go on. Little Bear, my friend for many years. Why had he done this? And yet he could easily have killed me. The garrison. What did he mean about the garrison? Why did he warn me not to go there? But of course, that's the very reason I must go. I looked up to see Little Bear silhouetted against the sky. Black smoke surged upward, but from what? Hurry, Peter. Hurry.
At daybreak, and a few minutes behind Peter Baird, the widow Hurd and some of her family are returning with the tide from Portsmouth. They are unperceived by the Indians. As they near Cochecho, they are startled by gunfire and the sounds of fighting. They see smoke on the horizon. They tie up at the landing, unaware of the terrible events of the past night. Suspecting danger, they plan to seek refuge at Waldern's garrison, as it is nearby and considered safe. But Mrs. Hurd is unable to go on. She insists that her children leave her and run for the garrison. She assures them that she'll be safe, she'll hide. They're finally persuaded to do her bidding. I can't go on, son, she says. Go home and take care of your brothers and sisters. I'll be all right, all right. One of the sons goes to the nearby Walderne garrison. He sees the danger and runs back to tell his family. At their mother's insistence, they then set out for home. They're cautious. They bypass the garrison when they see the Indians outside, and all escape injury. A brave steals up on Mrs. Hurd, ready to kill. He stops, gazes at her for a moment, and departs. She recognizes him as the young Indian whom she had given refuge when he was fleeing the sham battle 13 years before. In return, he promised never to harm her or any member of her family. He has secured the same promise from the other Indians. The promise was kept.
You
Thus ended the Cochecho massacre. Out of the 40 families in the area, about 24 people were killed and 29 were taken captive.
Peter, hold on. Oh, my head. Hold on. The garrison nearly destroyed. The fire. How did it start? Oh, my head. Oh. Oh. The Major must find. Is he safe? Oh. Major. My God. My poor old friend, the Major. He was almost unrecognizable and lying in a pool of his own blood. His nose and ears had been severed and forced into his own mouth. A hand was gone. His breast had been repeatedly slashed. His abdomen had been pierced by his own sword, and the terrifying expression on his mutilated face spoke eloquently of his terrible ordeal. In a letter sent from Boston on that very day, Major Waldron was warned about impending hostilities. Major Hinchman of Chelmsford had received word that there was a gathering of Indians with design to do mischief to the English. Among the Indians, one Hawkins, otherwise known as Cancamagus, was said to have a particular design against Major Waldron. This message was to be delivered with all possible speed. Major Waldron never received the message, but would he have listened if he had?
This true story of Major Richard Waldron has been told through the eyes of Peter Baird, a fictional character.